Hey, it's Alex, otherwise known as Leek Saloo. Today, instead of complaining about the new episodes of SpongeBob like everyone else does on this website, I decided that I'm going to review and analyze a new episode of SpongeBob that I actually like. For those of you looking at the title of this video, you may be wondering why I chose to review this particular episode. Well, for one, the 27th of March this year is my parents' 20th anniversary, so I thought this would be a fitting episode to talk about. Second, I kinda have a bit of a soft spot for the two featured characters. I mean, ever since I was about 8 years old, Plankton's always been an appealing character to me. I love how overly dramatic and hot-headed he is, and as I've gotten older, I just found it increasingly hilarious that he can build all this amazing technology and is super intelligent, but his rivalry with Mr. Krabs has made him so obsessed with running this failing fast food restaurant when he can't even cook to save his life. And then we have Karen, his computer wife. Now, I know a certain someone on this website will disagree with me, but I have adored this character ever since I was in middle school. Jill Tilly gets her snarkiness down to a T, and her interactions with Plankton never fail to make me laugh. But interestingly enough, this episode focuses less on their snarky banter with one another and more on their relationship as a whole. So, in honor of my parents' 20th year together, this is Single Cell Anniversary. After another unsuccessful day of trying to steal the formula, Plankton returns home to find that today is his and Karen's wedding anniversary, and he completely forgot to get her anything. What a relatable situation. My dad's been through that before. It turns out Karen got him the Krabby Patty formula as a gift, and she refuses to give it to him until he brings her a gift from his heart. Completely stumped, Plankton stumbles upon Spongebob, who decides to help him with his dilemma and to teach him a little bit about love in the process.
We've got a love emergency! Attention everyone! We have a love emergency! Please stand back! Love emergency! Thank you! Love emergency!
There are very few episodes of post-movie SpongeBob that make me bust my gut laughing, and this is one of those episodes that does. I remember sitting down to rewatch this episode for the first time in forever, and I was shocked at how much I laughed while watching. Like, there is so much clever word and character-based humor in this episode. It's insane. Not to mention, this is one of those episodes that likes to throw in little bits for the adults, which is always nice when it's done well.
Well, she's a Mark II surplus UNIVAC with 256 gigs of RAM, and there's the cutest bowl on her CPU, and the way she processes data. Woo mama.
Now, granted, one or two of the jokes did stretch on a little too long, and the one at the beginning about the stench of failure, in my opinion, didn't really seem to gel with the rest of the episode. But you know, I can forgive that because the rest of this episode is quite hilarious.
Did you hear that? It sounds like... despair.
That was probably me.
No, not bitterness. Despair.
One of the reasons the character-based humor works in here and not in some other post-movie episodes is that the characters are actually in character. SpongeBob is his usual friendly, happy self who doesn't stalk and torment others to the point of creepiness like he does with Squidward a lot of the time. He's willing to help others, but he doesn't go over the top with it. Since SpongeBob's in character, it makes sense to me that he knows so much about love. He's practically full of love in its purest and most innocent form. I also like how he's not some brainless yes man like he is in some episodes. He's willing to help Plankton, but once he finds out his true intentions, he will speak out against him and try to fight back. Yet, despite knowing what Plankton's intent truly was, SpongeBob still genuinely wishes him a happy anniversary on his way back home. We get a good balance of SpongeBob's joyfulness and assertiveness, which is a nice change of pace compared to some of the other episodes that aired before and after this one.
Repeat after me. Me, 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 me.
Ahem. Me, 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 me. Me, 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 me. Woo.
As I mentioned earlier, this episode focused more on Plankton and Karen as a loving couple of many years, rather than their usual banter. Don't get me wrong, I love it when they throw sarcastic comments at each other, but it's also nice to show that they do truly love each other as well. This episode also showed how strained their relationship truly is. Something I did notice when rewatching this episode was just how inept Plankton was at the concept of love.
Oh, you are ready.
Ready? But what do I sing?
Oh, when the time comes, you'll know. The music of love comes from inside.
Why are you so obsessed with my internal organs?
It's not that he doesn't love his wife per se, it's just that he's always so caught up in his own selfish desires, particularly his rivalry with crabs and his obsession over getting the Krabby Patty formula, that he's forgotten how to show any kind of affection towards her. I get the feeling that this was always a problem for Plankton, and he built a wife for himself because he didn't know how to approach others in that way. His intense hatred for crabs and his obsessions, however, just continued to consume him. So that's all he can focus on. So building a wife turned out to be no different than just marrying a normal fish.
Plankton, is that you? Welcome home, honey.
And as for Karen, she's a machine. She's a rather intelligent, sentient machine, but at her core, she's nothing but a cold, hard shell. Because of this, it's hard for her to display certain feelings and emotions like empathy and passion and love. Because of this, it's rare that she shows affectionate feelings towards Plankton. Now, the two do love each other in their own way, but due to Plankton's obsessive tendencies and Karen being, well, a computer, they don't always show it. However, the effort Plankton makes in this episode to make Karen happy is just adorable. Just tell me this scene doesn't put a smile on your face.
I loved it, but not as much as I love you, Plankton.
I love you too.
I just find it so touching to see these two cold and distant people expressing their love for each other. It really brings out that hopeless romantic side of me repressed by my moody adolescent self.
You're such a lovely couple.
There's also a song in this episode, and it's by far one of the catchiest songs you will ever hear this side of the campfire song. Just listen.
Oh, my Karen. Oh, my Karen. Oh, my computer wife, Karen. Put down those punch cards. Put down those punch cards. And listen to my ode. Oh, my Karen. Oh, my Karen. Oh, my computer wife, Karen. What compares to? What compares to? Aha! Your beautiful diodes.
Hope you enjoyed that because you'll be humming that tune for weeks on end. Not to mention, I love how Plankton seemed to have improvised the entire thing. It really feels more genuine that he'd come up with these words from his own heart rather than just writing them down. If there's one complaint I do have about this episode, it's that the ending is a little silly. Granted, it made me laugh, but the idea that Karen would randomly start crying real tears in short circuit just as she's loading the formula really seems like a deus ex machina. Yes, SpongeBob has jack continuity, but Karen's never cried like this before, nor will she ever cry like this in future episodes. Although, they do address this issue by having both Plankton and Karen be confused by this development.
Crying? What's going on?
Karen, what's wrong? Have you sprung a leak?
No, I'm just so happy. I'm crying with tears of joy.
But you're shorting out.
Scrammy. Spammy formula. Loading completed.
Also, it did lead to the EMILP joke at the end.
EMILP? What's EMILP?
Emergency Mother-in-Law Program.
Oh, no.
Plankton, what have you done to my daughter? You made her cry. You know, she could have been with an ATM. Someone with money. But she chose you. I don't know why.
And this isn't really that significant to the episode, but why did the Bikini Bottomites just randomly barge into the chum bucket to go, "Aww," and then leave right afterwards? Is someone off camera holding up a sign like at Lord Farquaad's wedding in the first Shrek movie? Seriously, I've noticed the Bikini Bottomites love getting involved in Plankton's personal life. Do they not have jobs? Well, that's Single Cell Anniversary. And despite my nitpicks, I really did enjoy this episode, and I honestly do think it's one of the best post-movie episodes by far. For a show that rarely ever tackles romance, they handled this story very well. It makes me want to see more stories centered around this very odd couple in the future. Well, I'm Alex, otherwise known as Leek Salute, and I wish my parents a happy 20th anniversary. Sayonara.
Yes! I'm saved! Your wife exploded!
Before I go, I'd just like to note that Tom Kenny, the voice of SpongeBob, and Jill Telly, the voice of Karen, are married in real life. Try watching this scene with that in mind.
45% loaded.
Control, Alt, Delete.
55% loaded.
How do you turn this thing off?
Get your hands off my wife!